about is when you do all these things, when you are in marketing, sorry to take you back small, when you are in marketing, you will now know how to schedule your work in such a way that you know the advertising agents, you know the media you are going to advertise it on, you know all those things very well. Then you know your customer segments, the locations, then you know the product mix. Knowing all these things will help you in marketing so that you're able to use these quantitative values. Like in the market segment, you will say that you have 1,000 customers in a given location. And if you're able to supply 2,000 products or 3,000 to that market, it's going to fly. Because you can't just supply 1,000 because some people will buy more. So when you are looking at that, is the quantity that help the manager. And the manager will be able to say convincingly that if I'm getting 3,000 worth of product, 3,000 volumes as a product, you are going to sell and you are going to generate a lot of revenue. So management will be looking at that and using it for their decision making in terms of production and in terms of location of facilities. So when you are locating a vehicle, as I said, you ensure that you are locating a vehicle that will dispatch that product fast and efficient to that location. That is management for you. So when you are using, facility manager will be very, very, very active in using it. Ensure that if I send this truck to this place, he will deliver that truck. 3 trucks containing about 1,000, 1,000 will give you 3,000 trucks. Three trucks will give you 1,000, 1,000. That's 3,000 quantity as the person requested, and it's going to fly within 2 days. So if that is the case, and the truck is going to deliver in a day, so that is a logistics style. The facility manager will plan that. Then in procurement, you will know which one to minimize the waste. Know how you are going to apply logistics OR into it and be able to minimize all those things and achieve your ultimate request, and equally control the stock as well. In production, as I said, the machines will be allocated. Those machines that will do a better job, that are not going to delay you in producing those things, has to be applied. Which machine A is good, machine B is good, machine C is good, machine D is not all that good. Then we'll use your projects, research, operation research, and allocate the machines in such a way that people will be able to get things done. Optimal allocation of the resources are very important when you are doing all those things, including machines. When you want to allocate, you look at the men that are capable, skillful men. You look at the material, you look at the machine, and look at the time, and look at the money. These are the things when you think about allocation of the things. So you can't just allocate. When you are allocating this, you will now allocate it in such a way that men, material, money, and machines are involved, and time, because you work with time. If we are going to get these things in 3 hours, you make sure you allocate the money for those things, for those that are going to generate those things, and are going to be very efficient in producing those things. That's what you are going to do. When you do that, you get it right. That's allocation of the things. Well, it's applicable in the distribution, as I said, in production, in marketing. So these are the places you can allocate all these things. When you put it in marketing, as I said, in warehouse, you can put it in warehouse, transportation and loading of the loading and offloading of the materials. If you don't do all those things properly, you discover that you'll be wasting time somewhere, and that is not help you in your decision making. So when you do all those things, you look at what, when, and how do we get these things done and minimize the problem. So when you are talking about, you look at when, what, and time. How do we do these things so that we're able to minimize procurement costs? So that we're able, what we are thinking about is how do we reduce costs and efficiently produce what we want to produce by using the resources very well. What are the resources we are talking about? You can call it 4M. You can call it man, machine, material, money, and time. So time is there. MMMT is there. So M is man or men, material, money, and machine, and time. They are very, very, very crucial in this things so that you're able to get it right once you are doing all these things. If you don't do it in that way, it will make things difficult for you. So when you are trying to do it in marketing, you make sure that if you want to introduce a product, you look at the timing. You give a time. Ensure that the product you are going to introduce to the market people have a good timing so that you will not waste money. After introducing it, then there will be a season that they cannot buy. Those products has to fly because you must time it very well. You must look at the budget by advertising budget. Then you look at the selection of the advertising media. Which media? You use the local media, use all the media so that if you type it or send that advertising to a media with a local medium, and they will now communicate in the local language, vernacular language, people will understand it more. You not only in English language, you put it in such a way that your product will be understandable by every mix. If you are a local human being or you don't understand English, by the time you go to the media and use a local language, that media will now communicate to those people in such a way that they'll be able to understand. So selection of the product mix is part of it. Customer preferences and sizes, color, and packaging are very important in those things what you are going to do. So when you talk about that, you know that we are now on the track. Then we talk about methodology. How do you handle the methodology of operation research? It's a quantitative base. So when you talk about it, you look at how does it enhance managers' ability to make long-range plans. So it's not a short-term plan that you are going to make when you are doing. You think about how do I do these things, because you have to do a methodology is a process. So you can't just get and start doing things without acting on a certain principles. That principle is a systematic process. So when you are thinking about it, you think about how do you formulate the problem. You identify the problem. When you identify the problem, you formulate the problem in such a way that it will be easier for the research methodology expert. We do it in such a way that the machine will be organized in such a way that it will generate what is expected to generate. Then when you formulate the problem, you look at, in the formulating of the problems or identification of the problem, as the case may be, you look at the environment, look at the objective, look at decision makers, and the alternative courses of action. When you look at these things, we are looking at how does the environment affect us. Now, when you are talking about the environment, we are looking at external environment and internal environment. How does the external environment affect you in these things we are talking about? If you think without considering the external environment, you are making a mistake, because there is societal environment, there's economic environment, there's technological environment, there's a political environment. So when you don't consider the environment when you are taking these decisions, because it's a long-range plan, you are now making a mistake. When you think about the environment, you look at environment as external and internal. How does this environment affect us in identifying these problems and formulating a problem solution to it? So when you think about that, you'll be able to look at economic environment. How does it regulate the money that's the flow of transactions? You look at the society, how does it affect the people? Social and legal, political and legal. How does the political aspect of it? Because when you look at the political aspect of it, who is in power? Who is in charge? What is legal aspect of it? What is all those things are what you are going to capture in your operation decisions before you can think of how to method of applying. So when you are formulating the problems and the identification of problem, you have to think about the environment. Think the objective. What's the objective to get? The objective, as we said, must be smart, so that we're able to minimize optimal cost, so that when the cost will be minimized and you achieve the objective. If you are doing it without cost minimization, you are not on the right track. When you are talking about operational research, you are talking about how do you achieve all those things using men, material, machine, money, and time efficiently, and spend less time. Cost is very important. Minimize cost and maximize all the productions. You'll be able to produce more with minimal aspect of it. Then decision makers. How do you report this into the management? When
Hello, everyone. Please be patient. Your lecturer will join you soon. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm back. As we have been talking, network has to disrupt our class. Sorry for that. And we're talking about the stock control. What is stock control and inventory? So, as regards to the course we are talking about, we have stock control, linear programming, and other things we are going to do. I'm sorry, the network has just truncated some of our time, but we have to try as much as possible. When we talk about stock control, we are talking about the physical stocks, products you have. It could be items physically or intangible services you cannot touch. So when you talk about stock, you are talking about the products, that tangible or intangible products you have to use. It could be raw materials used for finished products. When you use these materials, you produce something, is still product, is still stock. So you either have finished stock or raw materials. When you have raw materials, those ones are those things you count, you use in production of the finished goods. So when you have those things, you now count them because they are money. If you don't take cognizance of those things, you will now lose money in one way or the other. So when you have stock, you ensure that you take control of it by counting it, by putting it where it's supposed to be, to put it in pallets and make sure that those stocks are in order. Pallets are those things you provide in such a way the stock will be lying on them instead of putting the stock in a bare floor. When you put a stock in a bare floor, the humidity of that floor can equally affect the stock to spoil before the actual expiry date. So when you look at these things, you take control of the stock by ensuring that the stock is sound at each point in time. When the stock is sound, you're able to sell it when it's a finished good. If it's a raw material stock, if you don't put the stocks on pallets and guide them very well, control them very well, it could lose the quality. And when you produce it, it will not get results. So that's why we talk about the stock control and inventory in this our operation research, because operation research has mentioned some of the tools we are going to use, which is inventory management. So inventory management is all about taking care of the stocks, ensure that those stocks are controlled. When you control them, you ensure that they are at the right quantity of the stock, is available at the right place at the right time. When you're talking about stock, you look at the stock availability and the quantity. That's the amount. When we talk about amount, it's not about the value. When you talk about amount or the quantity of the stock is available at the right place at the right time. So the right material will be purchased at the right time. That's the quantity of it will be purchased at the right time, at the right place, and at the right quantity. Right. So when you are talking about you get the right quantity, get the right place, you have to pick it from the right place, you have to pick it at the right time so that you will be place it in such a way that everything will be working efficiently, and that is stock control for you. So we say efficient stock control allows you to have the right amount of stock in the right place at the right time and right place. At the right time, the right amount, the right place, and right time. It ensures that capital is not tied up unnecessarily. Look at the statement. It ensures that the capital is, because when you are talking about stock, what you have is capital. If you allow the capital to tie down somewhere, then you are not optimizing in the real sense of operation research. So when you talk about stock control, you ensure that the right quantity, the right place, right time, and right amount are equally applicable in all those things so that we're able to get it right. So when you talk about all those things, you know, how do you deliver the stock? How do you keep the stock in the pallets? You keep the stocks in pallets. When you keep the stocks in pallets, you make sure that those stocks are everywhere you need to. You label them. They're in pallets, they're in racks. You put them in racks and label them so that it's easy for identification and easy for the auditors to come and count the stock and take stock inventory of the stock and know that these stocks are available and this is the quantity that we left, so that we help you to know economic order quantity. So that when you are thinking about How do we get stock in the market? Do we have enough? Do you have a buffer stock? Do you sell off and start production? No. You have to ensure that the stocks are available at each point in time and make sure that when you have a buffer stock, as this one is going down, you need to replace them and make sure that those things you are replacing are sound stocks. Not when you get to the market, say this stock has expired, this stocks are bad, and you don't allow a stock to expire for reason because you are applying linear programming process, you are applying network analysis style. So all those things help you to generate the report which you're going to use to know that this stock is going down. You reorder. For raw materials, as your stock is getting down, you reorder. That's economic order quantity, you reorder. When you reorder, those things are not at a given point. You said, we cannot produce, you run out of stock. No, you make sure that it's a long-term plan. As you are producing, generating stocks, you are equally applying for other ones. Procurement has to be in. Then the demand manager, as we said earlier, has to be on top of the game and ensure that those things are in order. So you can't just be doing something claiming that it's not workable. It's workable everywhere. That is stock control. There's what we call just on time, JIT. When you are handling stock, you make sure that the stock arrives to the place on time. You don't have to give chance for every stock to get exhausted. Make sure that there's JIT in the pipeline. The stock has to be there. That is stock for you. We talk much about the stock, but if we are going to finish all these things about stock, there's a lot of thought we have to talk about stock because we need to leverage on stock. By the time we go to offline, we now see what is involved. And where possible, we take you to a place where you can see a rack of stocks and you'll be able to see what is practically oriented in stock management, inventory management. Then we talk about, with the little time we have to talk about we talk about the linear programming, we talk about network analysis, and probably the replacement methods, which are the tools. So the tools we are talking about from the OR now is what we're going to talk about. Linear programming is one of the simplest ways to perform optimization. It helps you to solve some ways of complex optimization problems. So when we are talking about optimization, we are looking at ensure that you have optimal value, reducing cost at minima, and profit maximization. So when you are talking about profit maximization, you ensure that you are going to produce a lot of goods, chunk out the volumes of goods at a minimal time without wasting time. You need to produce all those things in a fast way. That gives you an opportunity to generate those things. When you apply linear programming, which operation research says as one of the tools, you'll be able to do those things either in graphic method or simplest method or northwest method. So all these methods can be applied when we see practical aspect of it. When you use a graph, put X and Y and all those things as you are minimizing the cost from the other side. You are trying to increase the production the other side. So you now get a value or a plot, a graph where all those things you have to maximize their production. So even in the market where you can get the maximum profit of that product. So when you are doing that, you are using linear programming. So you either use graphic method, the other methods you can use simplest method. When you have a simplest method, you use tables to do some arithmetic calculations. Then you have northwest method, where you tend to reduce all those things from the northwest to the side of the corner of their tables. Those are the things that are involved in the network, in the linear programming. Then we have what we call network analysis. So unfortunate time is running out of us because of network that has disrupted it. Network analysis is the method used by managers to analyze, control, and monitor the business processes and workflow. So when you talk about network, you are thinking about how do you work the workflow. How does it flow? Is it moving smoothly, efficiently? When you are talking about these problems we are talking about, it's no longer a question of effectiveness, but it's efficient because time is involved. you need to look at the time, and a long range of planning is involved. When you are planning and you are thinking about how do you generate those things efficiently, that is the core of these things. So network analysis is the method used by managers, not only executives, because the managers are the people that execute the jobs in the market. You go to the field and do it and report to the executive. Executive will use it as a decision making in their work. So it enables the managers to analyze, control, and monitor of the business processes and workflow efficiently in the business we are doing. So if each of the business units are doing their own and there's a synergy somewhere, those things will help you that the finance will ensure that the credit will come as when due and shift the credit to the procurement, and the procurement will place the order on time. That will fly, and the production will produce on time so that they'll be able to generate a lot of volumes, especially at the seasonal products. If it's seasonal product, you know when the season is dry, at the summer period, people look for things to buy, drinks. If it's celebration period, people look to things to buy. Those things you are going to produce high volume of products. It's not the same quantity you produce in June you are going to produce in December, because you are looking forward that a good number of people will buy your product. So when you are doing that, you are using network analysis to know the business flow and workflow so that those things will be able to achieve the target objective. It enables project managers to take various factors into consideration, into account when creating a project plan. When you are trying to do a plan, like you want, a project plan is like introducing a new product in the market. For you to produce a new product, you have to go a market research, get those things the market need, and apply for those things in the operation research technological tools. Then the raw material will be available, and if you are going, it's not just you go to the market, produce something, ship to the market. You have to do a research in such a way that people will be able to know the product. You need to advertise it. You need to buy the raw materials. So if you are going to do it in 6 months' time, you start now to generate those things and applying the techniques in getting those products. So the manager will create the project plan in such a way that they will be able to have dependencies between the activities. So those activities, what depends on it, what the synergy do they have in order to carry out those things? Buffer times between the activities. So when you are thinking about it, you look at buffer stock. You can't just generate a stock and say, let's test it. Test running it, yes. But if the thing flies, what do? You need to ensure that you produce a quantity that will fly. And if it doesn't fly, how do you advertise it? How do you do promotion? How do you do trade deals to push that product in the market? And that is not what you just sit down and do in a month. You think about it, a long time plan. If it's 1 year, if it's 2 years that you're going to put a new product in the market, you have to think about it. Then you think about the earliest and the latest start and ending time dates. So when you are thinking about those things, you look at what is the earliest time we can start this product, what is the latest time we can start it, what is time we are likely to end these things, so that all the people that are involved, the production will be in, everybody will be aligned. And when we are talking about ASMAT, your objective has to be ASMAT in such a way that everybody will be aligned. The employees, the internal environment, the employees, the suppliers, the customers, the creditors, all of them will be in alignment that you need these things and they have to supply it. They need to supply it with the premium quality and amount that will be minimized. Not that you are going to reduce cost, quite all right, but you ensure that you are buying it at a premium price. Not when you buy it at a high cost price, then those things will not be flying, because by the time you fix in the cost of production, cost of all those things, then the price will be high and it will now be affecting the product in the market. So when you are looking for that, the procurement will source for that product from a real place. That's why we are saying right place, right time. right amount. All those things has to be in place because the procurement is required to get the right things in order. So in most cases, how do we apply the network analysis? The critical part has to be involved. The duration of the activities has to be. So when you are planning a project, you look at those things. Where does it apply? All those places, you look at it. Everybody has to be in a synergy so that you look at their timing, their duration of it. How long will it take to produce? How long will it take to dispatch to the market? The logistics, the procurement, everybody will be involved in that. So when you talk about, you have a critical part. When you are looking at the part that will be the cheapest way to get it done. What is the cheapest way? The critical part. How do we get these things in without spending much time, without spending much money? That's we talk about the part you are going to use, critical part analysis. We are going to talk about that one when we get to offline. Then application. Mostly in the procurement and production, in order to control the project processes and more efficiently. So when you are talking about the network analysis, it's applicable in every way. But in most cases, in the production and procurement, where you have to apply it in such a way that those things are done, project process are more efficiently done, and complete the projects on time, schedule, and the budget. So if you are scheduling that you are going to finish the project in a given time, you ensure that you are going to finish it within that specified time. And the budget allocated for it has to be used properly, judiciously. Not when you now do something, you think that you are using a project, doing a project without, at a certain point, you say that the budget is not enough. No, because you have done a critical part analysis by trying to optimize the costs and everything that is involved so that we're able to arrive a good time and a good project budget so that when you do that, you're able to achieve a good result. So for that reason, we have to ensure that whatever we do it in such a way that we take cognizance of all the right time, right place, and right amount in the control of the stock, network analysis, linear programming, operation research. So having done that, we may be ending this class at this hour until we meet on the offline classes next time. So we can now talk about other things. We have talked about estimations, expected values, and risk analysis, statistical estimations, where you need to do point estimations and interval estimations, confidence interval, and quantity of things you need to do. Then operation research methodology, tools and stock controls. These things we have done it online sequentially, and we are hopefully, as time permits, we are going to do the physical talk in the classrooms where it's offline so that we're able to catch up everything. When you add the online and offline lectures, be able to catch it properly so that you're able to do a good work in your management decisions. These are the tools. So having mentioned the tools, you look at the linear programming tools, look at the inventory control tools, replenishment tools, network analysis, sequential decision theory, queuing theory, and so many other theories are the tools you use in network in operation research methods. So with that, we are going to end this class by now. Thank you very much for listening until we meet again for the class. Thank you and bye.